Hey, everybody. We spend a lot of time talking about marketing. And marketing is certainly one of the most important aspects of a business. Marketing and advertising are almost the same thing. However, marketing is not just something important in a business, it's important on just about anything in our lives. There is not a time or a place that goes by that we aren't thinking of either buying something or selling something. It could be ourselves, whether we want to make a friend or be in a relationship or get a job. We're constantly thinking about how can we put ourselves in a position to be advantaged by the situation. Even when we no longer work anymore, we're still thinking about, well, I want to be that or do that. I want somebody to think of me as this or think of me as that. I think in just about every aspect of human nature, there is this concept of selling. It's a concept that I want to do and be this, I want to go and do that. And so learning how to market and learning how to advertise is central to who we are as a human being. The key is how best we do that. How can we become a master marketer or master advertiser if marketing and advertising are so central to who and what we want to do and what we want to become? How can we master that aspect? I think when we look at marketing and advertising ourselves or an organization, it really comes down to three questions. And there are three questions we would ask of other aspects of our lives as well. But it's the what, who, and where. The what, who, and where. The what is the product. The who is the customer. And the where is the place. So the product, customer, and the place. Product, customer, place. I think that in nearly anything we'll learn about marketing and advertising, it comes down to those three simple aspects. And in reality, marketing really is pretty simple. And it starts in some ways with research, and research is important because it'll tell you who our customer is. It'll tell you where our customer is. But there's an intuitive nature of marketing that is as important as research too. I know what the research is telling us, but does that make sense? I know they say that's where our customer is, but is that really where our customer is? So let's start with the first aspect and then go through the others. First is the product. Some people say you should start with the customer. You should find out where you can sell something to first. Those are key points, good points. Are they as important as the product? I don't think so, and here's why. By the way, it's not a hard and fast answer. I can see some positive aspects on both parts, but I chose the product first, and here's why. I think people, ourselves, we start with what we love. We do something that brings us joy, and as a result of doing that, we create a product. That product could be ourselves, but we create a product. Another good example for me is everyone knows that I write quite a few books, and the book I just wrote was called The Perfect Country, Traits and Characteristics of Good and Decent People, and I'm very happy about that. But I didn't write that book really for anybody. I wrote it because of something that I felt, something that I wanted to express, something that I wanted to say. You hope that there's a market, a customer, for that book after you write it, but you don't start and say, okay, I want to reach these people, so I need to write something that they want to read. Instead, you say, I have something to say, I hope people want to read it. For that reason, you start with the product. Then you hope you can find a customer for it. And it's the same within organizations. Who would have ever thought that people wanted to buy Diet Coke or Coke Zero? Who would have ever thought they wanted a new no-frills airline? Now, you can do research. We often call it focus groups, and you go out there and find out what don't we offer that you would offer. And so you find a customer, and then you say, I want to give you something. Tell me what I can give you that you will buy. In essence, I want your money, so tell me what I can do for you that would result in you giving me your money. Obviously, customers don't feel that way from an organization. Obviously, organizations aren't going to say that directly to a potential customer, but in effect, that's what it is. But so there are occasions where you would go to a customer first and then create a product. However, an airline isn't necessarily going to a customer and saying, "What can I give you that will make you spend your money?" And then they say, "You know what it is? A new chocolate bar." That doesn't work for an airline. As a result, they are going to have some idea of a product and then trying to find out, how can I meld what we think a product would be to what a customer hopes to have. So I think that the product starts first. And then you get into the second part. That is, by the way, the what. What's the product? What is it that you want to sell? The next question, especially after you have some semblance of a product, it may not be the solid product, the end product, but after you have an idea of a product, then you have to find out who. Well, who would want to buy this? Going back to me as a writer, when you write a book, you don't necessarily say who would want to buy it. It's different when you write a book because it's your thoughts, it's your idea, it's your intellectual capital. You hope that you can create an audience for what you think and what you believe. That's the intent of most writers, is here's something I think is going to transform your lives. I hope that you read it. We'll get to how you can find that customer last. But that's what you do in writing. But as an organization, you must have a customer. A dream is only as valid as you can create a reality from it. A company is only as successful as they have a product that somebody else wants to buy. So for those reasons, when we talk about a product in an organization, we also have to find a customer to buy it. We have to find the who. So once you have this product, then you start to dissect that product and say, well, who would benefit from this aspect or that aspect? Well, what market can I create for this aspect of the product or that aspect of the product? What features would be beneficial to some or to others? Who can we go to that would, in essence, benefit from the product? And that's the key. When you create the what and you try to find the who, you ask yourself, who would want it? Who would benefit from it? Over all the questions that we're going to ask in relation to customers, there's really two that come to mind. Who would want it and who would benefit from it? Those are actually two different questions. We may think it's the same, but they're two different questions. How are they different? The concept of who would want it makes it a bit easier than who would need it. When somebody wants something, then it's easier to sell it because they want it. It may not be reasonable and rational, but they want that product. It's a bit easier to sell because now you just have to determine the price and maybe how it's delivered, but they really want it. But now you have to create a need for those who don't want it. Do you really need this product? If they haven't heard of the product, the answer is probably no. So you've got to create that need. Again, going back to writing a book. As of today, nobody is needing that book that I've written, but you hope to create it in a way that people say, I really need to read that book. That has a message that I didn't think about. I need to learn from that message. Back to organizations, they have to create a product that either people want or that people need. There's two aspects that come in mind in relation to the customer. Do they want it or need it? Want is easy, need creates some work. Both lead us to the third aspect of marketing, which is the where. Some would say the how. Where our customers are, how do I find my customers? I think both are valid and appropriate questions. I centered on the where because of the acronym, the WWW. The what, the who, and the where. I think it's easier to remember than the WWH, but both have certainly positives and negatives about whether it should be where or whether it should be how. But they center about where can I find the customer. I know who my customer is. I have a solid product. I know what it is. I understand who my customer is. I know the who. Now, how can I find that customer? How can I find that customer and then make them buy my product? Obviously, we can't make somebody buy something that they don't want to buy. But the point is, how can I, now that I know who my customer is, how can I find them? Where are my customers? We have to choose where to find our customers because it's all about notification. Notifying our customer that there's a product or service, but a product that they should consider. Customers, especially customers that center around a certain product or service, they congregate around certain places. I use golf a lot as an analogy, but tennis is just as good. Tennis tends to be a sport that more affluent people play. Golf is even more along that extreme, that pendulum, that spectrum. So if you play tennis, you tend to be of a higher socioeconomic base. If you play golf, even more so. So if you want to advertise a product that's expensive, you're probably going to go where people who play tennis and people who play golf congregate. Good example is to turn on a tennis match or a golf match on some weekend. Watch the advertisers that advertise in those sports. They tend to be financial related. Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America are the financial related. In terms of product, they tend to be products that are much more expensive. The Cadillacs, Mercedes, and BMWs. By the way, those car companies do sponsor golf tournaments. They identified by product who their customer was, and they identified by their customer where they're at, which is at high-end sporting events. That's not the only place that they would be. But let's contrast that with the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is much more of a mass marketer, but you'll see fewer financial type advertisements for the Super Bowl and more common type products. Snickers advertises in the Super Bowl. And if you go through the list of the types of products at a Super Bowl, they're products that we use maybe not every day, but more often than the financial related products. Coca-Cola, very big advertisers. And Tostitos, chips, things that people use on a regular basis. That is where our customer is. That's where we can find where to sell our product. So what have we learned so far about marketing and advertising? We know, what have we learned so far about ourselves? We found out that if we want to market or advertise ourselves, which is what all of us do on a continual basis, whether if we're looking for a job, if we're trying to keep our job, whether we're looking for friends or trying to keep friends, whether we're looking for relationships but try to keep relationships, we want to create and sell the best us. We want to put ourselves in a position that best represents us to our audience. We want people to like us. We want people to want to be with us. And to do so, we have to sell ourselves. And we start with the what. What kind of product do we want to create? What kind of person do we want to be that people would want to be with us and associate with us and talk with us and be around us? What type of product do we have that we may at some point find somebody that they want to buy or sell? We start with the what, because if we want to be, a word today is authentic, our true authentic self, we create a product that best represents us, who we are and what we want to be. And then we go out and see who would be attracted to that. As a person, who would be attracted to that, but as a product, who would be attracted to that? What customer can I find, can I elicit, can I attract based on the product that I've created? The what and then the who. And once we know the product and once we've identified the customer, Then we can figure out, where is our customer? Where can I find that type of person? And it's as important that we talk about the business world as we talk about the personal world. Certainly, as an educator, as a marketer, we concentrate on how to sell a product. But if we remember that products are people, that so much of our product is personal, that if we can address and attract the personal aspect of a product, we have a much better chance of finding who our customer is and where they're at. Finally, people ask, what's the most important? The product, the customer, or the place? What our product is, who our customer is, and where is the place that we can find our customer? Of the three, I've always believed that it's the product. That if you create a product that people not only want, that they need, then all you have to do is sell it. Our world is littered with products that people never thought they needed, never thought they wanted. But as soon as the product appears, all of a sudden, the market does. And if you create a product that you absolutely and truly believe in, but there's no customer for it, it doesn't mean that what you haven't created isn't valid and good and decent and which improves the world. It just may not be the time. So create something that you believe in and then try to find somebody to buy it. If you can do that, I think you have a better chance of selling something about yourself that is good, that people want, than the opposite, which is finding a customer and then endeavoring like crazy to create a product for them. Find something good and decent about yourself, and then once you do that, you'll find out it's much easier to sell that to your customer, no matter what place they are. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the day.